the middle of the week. This is my partner, David Solomon, hanging out in chilly Montreal, Quebec. And I'm in actually chilly South Florida, where I woke up to a 73 degrees chill. But you know what? That's not also the only thing that's chilling here. In 20 days, the Americans are going out to vote to either recall this Democratic wave or to install a red wave. So either it's going to be literally people deciding that the Democrats have screwed up for 2 years and install a complete House and Congress as Republican, or it's going to be another split government, which isn't a bad thing, guys. We've never said that a split government isn't good. But what is not good is when a political party decides to give shit away to try and get your vote and still do nothing for it. David, this is fascinating. What are the Democrats trying to give you now that they couldn't give you weeks and weeks and over the last 2 years?
Well, it's funny because the Democrats, Stuart, what you're talking about here is political smoke screening. And this is like every party loves to do it when there's a bad, there's something happening. Let's divert it. Or as I heard it this morning, Stuart, on the radio, I love this comment. It's like, it's a magician. Here, if you see in my right hand what I have, right? But in the meantime, what's your left hand doing? And, God knows what. So the thing with the Democrats that's fascinating, and this has been the game, is it's never been about protecting you and me. It's about getting reelected. They know that Joe Biden has been an ineffective leader. They know that he's done nothing. And right now, to save the Democrats' ass, the only card that they could use is abortion. And if you watch, I get the New England political commercials from New Hampshire, from New York, from Vermont. I know New York's not part of New England, but I get it from where I am. I get to see Vermont, New Hampshire, some from Massachusetts, and it's fascinating that the Democrats can policy abortion. And Joe Biden this week says that, listen, give us back the House. I'll sign abortion rights into law. I'll codify Roe v. Wade. Now, my question was that when he promised that months ago, he did nothing. Why? He knew he needed this smokescreen so that he can get elected. Stuart, the thing is that when you look at the polls, right? And again, who's running the poll? Is it CNN, MSNBC, or is it Fox, or is it the New York Post? You see one thing that comes out of all of this. Abortion has to be on the list for the liberals. Even if it isn't the most important issue, they has to find a way, because it's the only issue that the Democrats could say that's theirs. Because they suck on the economy, they suck on inflation, they're screwing up in schools, they're screwing up with immigration, they're screwing up with crime. And these are the things that if you ask conservative voters, if you ask nonpartisan voters, that means people who are not affiliated with the Democratic Party or the Republican, someone important to the single most important issue for this election. And Nancy Pelosi continue to BS. They continue to BS. Nancy Pelosi continues to say that the most important issue is abortion. Nancy Pelosi, what is wrong with you? Are you complete? Did the hair dye disconnect your brain from reality? Okay, that Americans care about the choice right now for Americans is choosing between a tank of gas that's going up again in price or food on the table.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on, David. Let me cut off. Okay. The tank of gas is artificially going to be going down because Biden is releasing yet another, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of gallons of our petroleum reserve, which, by the way, has to be filled back up. So, yes, he's reducing the price of gas, but he's going to be spending more money to fill it back up. But something else, David, Nancy Pelosi yesterday in the news was just saying how wonderful, how incredible Biden has done. The Democrats from the Democratic Party, which is not very democratic, who claim to be the party of the people, and the amount of people that are suffering for 2 years, they've had 100% control. But I need to give you some statistics. Homeless rate. The most amount of homeless people. Let me rattle it off. It's a 2020 statistic. It's even worse. You got New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Jose, Oakland, San Francisco, San Diego, Phoenix, Santa Ana, and the District of Columbia. Do you know the one thing common about the top 8 or so that I listed? They're all Democratic cities, Democratic mayors, Democratic governors, and they've had nothing but Democratic unlimited amount of funds, yet they can't solve a basic human rights issue. Now, they think that they could codify Roe v. Wade. You know what? They had the entire government with one person, the vice president, to break the tie, yet they didn't. Have you not gone mad if you think that this party is a party for the people? They're the party for their own pocketbook, because Nancy Pelosi, who can get an entire party to vote yes on Roe v. Wade to codify it, can't get enough people to stop the fraud that congressmen and senators have been doing for decades with insider trading. So I'm sorry, David, it's even more duplicit that the lanes are just horrible.
But Stuart, you bring that back up again, and like, let's stick to what happens. The problem, unfortunately, with the electorate is that nothing you just said matters, because a lot of people, not a majority, a lot of people wake up now and go, hey, there's an election in 3 weeks. Who are we voting for? And that's the sick part, is that we completely have neglected and forgotten everything that's gone on beforehand. The smokescreen that the Democratic Party has put up as the party in power, you controlled all 3 levels of government.
Yep.
What real legislation have you passed in the last 2 years that has had any impact?
The Inflation Act.
Your own party, your members within your own party who said, this is dumb. You had Tulsi Gabbard, who last week walked away from the party saying, this isn't my Democratic Party anymore. She was a 20-year Democrat.
She was not a 20-year Democrat. She was the young, rising Democratic star from Hawaii who actually had presidential Democratic power and real power. Yeah. But you want to know something? It's time to understand, yes, the Republican Party is far from perfect, guys. I agree. But the Democratic Party has gone so off the deep end for the party of the pocketbook, and not yours or mine, but theirs. It's beyond insane. David, I haven't seen.
But Stuart, let's get back to the point here, okay? With 3 weeks to go to an election, and the people who tend to listen to this podcast tend to be a little bit more implicated in real life. But go talk to your friends, go talk to your neighbors that have to go vote, and you ask them really what's important today, and they're going to tell you, yes, abortion is important. The right to choose is important, 100%. However, the decision that many people make, and some people in certain circles are going to go, I don't have to choose between a tank of gas and food on the table. But do you know how many Americans do? You're talking about a significant percentage of Americans who do that.
Yep.
Let's talk about education that is falling apart. Crime.
I got one better. How about the safety to take a subway in New York City? That's up almost 50%. And you know what? I think the Democratic Party and any party should be one of, I want to protect my citizens. You know what? Protecting life is a very important thing, and I understand those people that want pro-choice, and there are places where you get pro-choice. I get it. But you know the bottom line is, pro-choice means nothing if the asshole pushes you in front of the subway car and kills you. You need to have police.
You know, the problem with the pro-choice, the whole thing, speaking of smokescreens, and again, this is what the Dems like to do. All Republicans are anti-abortion. No. Just like all Democrats are not anti pro-life. They're not that at all. But again, let's take a roller brush approach. Let's make everybody the same thing. Position everybody as a MAGA Republican, a Trumper, or whatever you want to call it. Give them a name, because then they're all fascists. They're all whatever. And you know what? This is stupidity. Okay. The problem with Roe v. Wade was the government knew that it was going to come down. The Biden administration did zero to secure it. They knew it was going to be an election campaign, and they couldn't wait to do this. But in the meantime, when you talk about crime, escalating crime, you talked about New York. How about San Francisco, Chicago, other cities that you have Democratic mayors in there? And it's not just exclusively Democratic mayors, but it so happens to be the 8 out of the 10 ones you listed were Democrats. What is it telling you? That is there an interest in making change? Or is there an interest in getting reelected so that your as you said it, my pockets will be lined up with more opportunities as opposed to helping the people? The Democrats claim to be the party of the people. Let me put one thing out there, okay? Governor Abbott sent thousands, like under 5,000 migrants to New York City and to Chicago. But the mayor of El Paso, who's a Democrat, sent 11,000 of them. And not one word,
David, you're saying it too loud.
Apparently,
someone in California may hear you.
No, but forget about California. I'm talking about in general. This is the hypocrisy. The Republicans are always wrong. Ron DeSantis, Governor Abbott, you're always wrong. You're always wrong. You're always wrong. Okay? But when a Democrat does it, it's okay. And you know what? The mayor of El Paso said, no one's going to tell me what to do. I don't care about pressure from the White House or anything, but not 1 ounce of criticism. And I'll give you one last piece, okay, to this yesterday. This is my favorite to show you how disconnected Joe Biden is. The other day, he said that's always had California, listen up carefully. You've always had a $7 gallon. In what world, is Biden from California understanding this is the disconnect at the Democratic Party?
David, you know what I see now? A lot of Hollywood is moving out of Hollywood, but they need to be so politically correct. There are reasons to moving to Florida, New Mexico, and all these other states is, well, we wanted to raise our children in a much more slow-paced type of town. No, they want to get the fuck out of your crazy-ass state that has ass backwards education, ass backwards homeless, ass backwards gasoline. And you know what? When Newsom says you can't practice medicine because I don't agree with the way you're practicing it, they can't do it there either. Listen, David, we're wrapping our quarter hour up real quick. I just want to end up like this. Tell your friends you got to vote. You got to vote. You got to think common sense. You got to ignore party. You got to vote for your safety. And you know what? If the unborn child is important to you, I get it. But your life has value too, or you won't have an unborn child. Because if they throw your ass off the subway car in New York City, you're screwed. I mean, David.
Stuart, you can take it one step further. Take it a step further.
Really? I took it pretty far, David. You want to take it one step further? I'm shocked.
Yes. If I cannot afford an abortion, if I have to choose between an abortion and food on the table, or if I have to choose between an abortion and a tank of gas, what is my choice? Like, this is what I'm trying to get. Like, this is the understanding here is like, if I can't afford anything, then whether the abortion is codified or not is not relevant. My body, my choice. I get it. But when you can't afford certain things, doesn't matter if abortion is codified or not.
I agree, David. David, we're wrapping up. Friday's another day.
You bet.
Today is Wednesday. We're done. Want to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye, everybody. Please, if you can pre-vote, apparently, in about 40 states. Go and do it. Ignore what the media is talking about voter suppression and all the bullshit behind it. Stacey Abrams is pushing it. They're trying to push it down in Florida. There is no voter suppression. Go vote. Your vote matters.
Aliens exist, guys.
Let's say goodbye.